Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of The Stash Report from The Stash Project. Today is August 20th, 2018, and as promised, this is just a little show here. Probably won't even have a chance to really sit down and start enjoying it before it'll be over. We have one update to a existing kit announcement that was just made recently, and then we have, I believe, two kits that were released this week. As we mentioned in last week's video, Japan was on vacation last week, so obviously not a lot got done there. And then there was only one kit from round 2 this month, and we've gotten the update to the situation with Revell and the fact that kits will be coming back again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch last week's video. I'm not going to rehash it all here, but there wasn't a whole heck of a lot going on. So we have, like I said, just a few things to talk about. So first up is that little update to the existing announcement, and that is from Belkits. You may recall a few weeks ago, maybe closer to a month and a half ago now, we talked about them doing a Rover MG Metro 6R4 Group B rally car. They showed sort of a silhouette of several upcoming kit releases, and only the Citroen, modern Citroen, and this car from the 1980s had a logo and what they were about. Well, the licensing has been approved both on a automotive level and on the team level, so now they can show specifically what they're going to be releasing, and that's what they did today. The two kits that you'll be able to choose from are the 1986 Monte Carlo Rally computer vision car, just amusing to me kind of livery because it's so 1980s. First in CAD and CAM. Imagine that was a pretty rough CAD and CAM in 1986 compared to what it is today. But this will be Malcolm Wilson, Nigel Harris. Car will have night racing parts and things like that, obviously for a sort of a 24-hour races. The Monte Carlo Rally tends to be, it's not run 24 hours a day, but there are night stages. And then the other one you have over there is Jimmy McRae, his unfortunately misspelled co-driver, running the Rothmans Metro in the Lombard Royal Auto Club, or the Rack Rally for 1986. Now, in real life, the car in the Rack Rally, I believe probably due to tobacco legislature at that point, because we're getting to that point in history where those things started being verboten, didn't run the Rothmans wording in this specific rally. I think it may have in other rallies that were done, in more lenient countries than the UK. But for this specific race or rally, this livery that has no Rothmans logo on it is correct. And the one last thing you might notice here before we take the picture off is the highly detailed engine part. So this is high detail engine. This kit is going to come with a full detail engine, so that'll be a first from Belkits. We're seeing, B-Max do that for the first time on their Group B rally car with the Lancia S4, and Belkits has chosen to do that for the first time on this car. Now, I expect that is because this car, in effect, because of the way it's constructed to look like a Metro, but it really isn't, based on one it's a very loose interpretation, I guess would be the thing, is this was a mid-engine car, so through the back of the windows you would see quite a bit of the engine, and, you could create some sort of Fujimi-ish engine cup, as they like to do, where it's just a tray with the top of the engine into it, and they chose to go with a complete engine, which, again, probably in the case of this car, is the most reasonable thing to do to have that represented well, because it's when you have something that is sort of open to the air, it just needs more detail. Think about an open engine hot rod or something like that, where there's no sides to, or even no hood to, a 32 Ford or Model A or something like that. This is a similar sort of thing where they could have done something through the window probably that might have been okay, but probably in real life, to make it accurate and realistic, you need to jump to belly up to the bar, as it were, and go ahead and try that out. So this will be interesting to see when the kit is released. Obviously, this has no kind of release schedule. It'll probably be 2019 before we see these. to see how they do with making their first engine. It's not like making an engine is some sort of super complicated thing, but it's always interesting to see a company's first attempt at going that route. So talking about kit releases, like I said, there's only two. One of them is domestic. One of them is the Round 2 kit for this month, and that is the MPC branded Mack Heavy Duty DM800. It's got the great throwback to the original box art. I do appreciate that on these kits, like I said, that are old enough for that. If you guys have heard me go off my tangent about retro packaging on AMT Ertl era 1990s kits, which of course, they don't have vintage packaging because they're not old. So, this is effectively the same DM Mack series truck as far as the chassis, running gear, frame. I think there might be slightly different tires. I'm not sure if they're sort of an off-road high float front tire on this kit or not. I haven't gone out and gotten one yet. The drawing makes it kind of hard to tell whether or not. I don't believe so. I believe that this kit has just 10, 8 drive tires, 2 steer tires, but it has 10 of the same tires, 10 of the just the tires that have been in the other 2 Mack kits. The only real difference between this kit and the other ones, of course, is the front end to it. This was a heavy-duty vocational truck. I see them sort of loading what looks like the gravel trailer there in the background attached to a non-specific truck. But of course, this is MPC, selling things back in the day when these were all new kits. Hey, by the way, there's a gravel trailer you can put behind this kind of deal. Is a big thing about the air conditioning unit being there. Trucks of this era didn't come with air conditioning. That was an option you had to order, and it wasn't something like, oh, hey, we just didn't put an air conditioning condenser in this thing. There was not a place in the engine for a air conditioner in that sense. With this truck option the way that it is in the kit, you would have had to have one of those big roof units, and that's what this kit comes with in that term. So it would just if you look at old truck pictures, sometimes every now and then you'll catch one that looks like it has like the top of an ice maker, like an industrial ice maker, but ice chest, like that are outside of gas stations where you buy ice and has that big thing on top that is the cooling unit and the condenser. That would be what you get in this truck because of that age. And for a long time, heavy-duty trucks didn't come with air conditioning. I just figured, if you're out doing that kind of work, that you just sweat in the summer and enjoy yourself at it. So, cool kit to have back. One was getting kind of pricey. Not a surprise. Of course, you watch this channel, you know it was coming, but not a surprise in general because obviously the other 2 Mack kits that have been reissued, including, hell, they even reissued the cruise liner, so they've been on a Mack roll, as it were. But, I wanted to, that's one of the few kits that Round 2 is doing this year that is on that buy it before other random crap kind of things, and so I'll pick one of those up eventually. And then the other kit release is a Fujimi one, and that is a reissue of their 1/20th scale Williams FW16 from the 1994 F1 season. You can build this as let me see if I can find it. Might help if I was on the right page. There it is. San Marino and Brazil Grand Prix. So I was looking at Hasegawa kits for some reason. So used to Hasegawa and all their 1/24 scale F1 kits. Completely lost my train of thought there. So yeah. This, of course, is obviously missing the Rothmans logos that you need. There were, in the past, Taboo graphics or Taboo design done for the Rothmans. There is a filler sheet that just has the Rothmans logos on it, and there is a complete and total replacement deal where all of the livery is replaced. So those are out of production at this moment in time. They've not announced a rerun of that, and we'll see in the coming months if they decide to rerun it. Otherwise, this kit is obviously missing probably a good third of its livery as it sits out of the box, because it does not have tobacco livery directly from Fujimi itself. So, guys, that thankfully brings this one to a close. We will probably get it's one of those weird months where you have the sort of the 5th week, as it were, because of the way the calendar flows. You have an almost full last week of August, so there's a good chance that next week's show really won't have a heck of a lot of stuff in it either. You're waiting right now on basically 3 or 4 Hasegawa kits and some stuff from Aoshima because the Fujimi kits for this month have come out. I know for, looking at the Hasegawa, distribution sheet, that the 2002 and the Gemini aren't coming out until the very, very end of the month. So that leaves only a few other things that could come out this week. Usually Aoshima's Reeboks kits don't come out until the very end of the month either. So, yeah, should be interesting to see what we get in terms of any kind of, show to have next week. Maybe there will be some sort of other breaking news or something like along those lines. It is getting, again, I know I say this every video, but it's the truth of the matter. It is getting towards that time of the year where we should be starting to get the leaked information, as it were, for the Tokyo Model and Hobby Show. It's not leaked, just obviously you're seeing it, well in front of the actual show. And that is the nature of the business, especially within Japan, where you usually try to put kit pre-orders out there 90 days in advance, so that way you can get a good sampling of obviously how many kits you're going to need to produce, as well as the excitement, if you will, about a release. And just, for things like HobbyLink Japan and Hobby Search and other online vendors, you want to be able to secure enough kits for your international customers, who obviously can't just pop into the local hobby shop in Japan and pick things up off the shelf. So, we've gotten a couple of things, Fujimi with their, one kit that they're going to do for November, as well as Aoshima putting out a couple of the model car things already, but those aren't new tools or modified reissues or, anything. So November, December, possibly a little bit into January. If you had to pin, hold me down, tackle me, and demand information, this is not anything that is realistic. This is just my opinions. You'll probably see some sort of Skyline out of Hasegawa off the R31 tooling, be it another JTCC car or another format of the street car. That car, the street car is a 1987. The race car itself is a 1989. There's 3 other 1989 cars that they can go from, and of course there's a multitude of other R31 race cars for other seasons that they could come up with. I also think, based on the just generic chassis architecture of the Skylines, just what they were in real life, you could obviously backdate that kit into an R30, which is the generation previous, without a whole heck of a lot of problems. The R30, R31 are, pretty similar body styles, and obviously share pretty much the exact same footprint as far as wheelbase and all that sort of thing. The 2002 Ti, you're getting another variation of it this month, so I don't see them necessarily announcing something else for the winter from it. You're also running out of things to do with it unless you start taking it into other cars. At this point, the only real 2002 Ti's that they have not done will be a non-turbo late model. Now, you can make one of those by kit bashing the turbo and just one of the regular kits together, but the post 75 cars have different taillights, and when Hasegawa decided to handle that was to make a whole new body tool. Well, probably not a whole new body tool, but the rear and front and rear inserts to the body tool are certainly different, because the later car has big rectangular taillights and the early car has little small round ones. There is a cabriolet version of the 2002, but that would probably require making some new interior pieces, because the interior is, of course, very weak on the side panels within the kit. You have something called the 2002 Diana, which was like a run of, I think it was 12 cars were done for the marriage of their lead race car driver to his wife. I think only 2 or 3 of those actually still exist in real life. And then you could go backwards into like an 1802. You could go even further backwards into like a 2000C. You go forwards with a wheelbase stretch to an E9. But, there's the wheelbase stretch, especially since you'd have to modify the chassis to lengthen the wheelbase out. Might be a little bit of a stretch. You can certainly go backwards into the other two, because the 2000C and the 1802, which was sort of a lower displacement, more base model version of the 2002, would ride the same chassis, mostly the same interior. You'd fix a few pieces here and there. The 2000C would require a significant body upgrade, but at the same time, most of that could be handled with just inserts for the front and the back of the car, and then the requisite bezels and lights and things like that. So I don't see anything with that because we're running out of things. The other thing, of course, you could also make a touring car version of that, race car wise, because the 2002 did win the 24 Hours of Nuremberg in like 71 or 72 or something like that. But it's probably too soon. The Gemini, race car version, yes. As is any Hasegawa kit, if it has a separate back seat, there's probably going to be a race car. That would be a major announcement because you'd be significantly, upgrading the tooling for it, but by including all the race parts for it. But again, you're getting a street version of the Gemini now. If they aren't going to make that leap into a JTCC version of the Gemini, you probably aren't going to get another one just because it's too close. You're going to get a Civic variation next month. And you just had one with the race car version, so you probably aren't going to see anything with that. You start looking at like what other Hasegawa kits there are. Well, you have the Galant that just got issued, this past couple weeks ago. Technically a July kit, but it came out at the very beginning of August. There's not a lot with that car either because the GTO MR is sort of the top of the line version. Do you offer the just Colt Galant without the top of the line, stuff to it? That's just a very basic, economy car. I think there were a couple of race versions of that in the sense of like things that were raced, but it wasn't an established race car like the Civic was within that little series and or these other cars within JTCC and things like that. I'm thinking you gotta go with new tool, right? I would not surprise me to see something. I don't know what at this point because they seem to be just cherry picking ideas out of the sky with some of these things. So unless they go backwards, into like kits that they've done recently and do something with like the N360 tooling or something like that. I'm not sure. I'm very interested. As I said, why I want to see these announcements come out. I'm very interested to see what Hasegawa is going to do. They're certainly on a roll right now with the automotive stuff. Releasing several very interesting subjects with new tools. The Hondas, the Gemini, the Nissan Sunny, maybe another Nissan. Is it time for like a Nissan Sunny sedan? Something like that. Time to take another whack at Fujimi and Aoshima with doing another, car that they've done in the past. You almost would say like, like a Starion, but then of course B-Max is going to take that on. So, Aoshima is in that weird thing now where they're just doing basically Japanese cars out of new tooling. They haven't gotten the R34 out because it's being delayed for whatever reason. So I would expect there to be a new tool for the fall, but what that would be is anybody's game. Tamiya, do you see something new out of them? Do we finally get the other version of the AMG GT? You guys are tired of hearing me talk about that. I've always thought that it was interesting that we never got anything else out of the 300 SL. I always thought maybe a convertible version of the 300 SL would be something that they would consider, mainly because they never just do one version of a kit. There's always at least like a colorized version. You just saw that with the LaFerrari got reissued in yellow. I mean, are they going to sell yellow ones to people who already bought original ones? Probably not, but there'll be people who didn't buy a LaFerrari when it came out. The kit's old enough that it may not be on the local hobby shop shelves. This is a fresh new kit, as it were, that just comes in. Ferrari enthusiasts who collect Ferrari things will have to have both kits because just have to have it. So we didn't get a summer automotive tool out of Tamiya. We just sort of got a couple of reissues, RX-7, 2CV, things like that. So what we get out of Tamiya should be interesting. And then we know you get what you're getting out of Fujimi for the end of the year, and that's that FJ Cruiser. And they don't go to the trade show anyway. So and then we have, of course, all the B-Max and Belkit stuff that may or may not come out in the show. Belkit's, even in the announcement from that we did at the very beginning of the show about the new Metro, said there's more stuff, more new news coming in the coming months. So, in that big shadow boxes where there was all the things, there were at least 2 other tools in that shadow box. So there's that, and then all of the B-Max stuff that we teased that was taken on spot models and taken off spot models, and we'll probably see at least 1 or 2 of those be officially announced, and hopefully progress on other things there because you got other kits coming and other variations. We have the EF9 Civic is coming out next month. The Audi is coming out in October. So that leaves us with basically just the Quattro, sorry, not the Quattro, but the Lancia as being the only new tool thing that's out there that's not done, other than the stuff that was just announced at Shizuoka, the Starion, the Galant rally car, and things like that. So interesting, interesting, interesting. Give me the news. I need the news. The other thing I want to do here at the very end, before I forget about it again, is we talked about shows we'll be attending back in the little video we did on stuff that came in. Going to Zanesville, and I said I'm going to put the flyer up. I even made like a motion that I was going to put the flyer there to remind myself, but then when I edited the video, I just put in the new intro music, and that was it. So here, for real, is the flyer for the Zanesville show if you're interested in the area coming to that. So anyway, guys, that'll wrap it up. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a great weekend, and we'll see you guys on the other side.